Hello, everybody. Anybody? Right. I'm going to carry on with my game. Recreation of Letteroids from 1980. And I just fixed a bug just a moment ago because I started this up and it didn't work. And why? It worked last night. And yep, it was the old random number generator thing came up again, because in the code that I set up to make sure that the random number generator isn't 0, I had put RNGOK here instead of ran 0. So basically it was writing this number into the code here instead of a complete mess, causing a crash. Now, when the crash didn't happen yesterday, the danger of... I told you that would come back again. Anyway, so what I need to do to continue this game is collecting the letters right now is kind of not really that exciting, because yes, you can crash, but it needs to be on a... and crash again. It needs to be with some time pressure. So I need to work on that. I think I'll do the fuel bar. So as you're flying around, you're using fuel, and then when you collect the next letter, you refuel. Whoa, whoa. Nice recovery, huh? We've got E, F, G, H, I. See, I was It gets you if the letter happens to be off the screen and then you forget where you're at. I seem to remember that the fuel bar was here, but it might be better if it was on the left. It doesn't matter. I'm just a bar. So what I'm going to do is write some code that, but it doesn't have to refresh the bar every time. Because it's got to be exclusive or plotted, actually. Interesting. I think I will start by drawing. I need a routine to draw the bar, and then it could just remove a pixel at a time. But even that, because I'm removing a pixel at a time, then I have to actually shift things around and so on. But anyway, let's see. Reset fuel indicator. And I guess I need a representation of fuel. That might be a good idea, so I'll have to put this in ship fuel. Hey, Alan. Yes, I how you doing? Yes, exactly. That one just keeps coming back to haunt. It's the bug that keeps on bugging. Most definitely. So where was I? I forgot where I was doing the fuel. Let's search fuel. What? There, reset fuel indicator. So for that, I need to load immediate. Now, what I'll do is make the thing go in as 200, a 0. 255. I don't know. Store A into ship fuel. All day using Visual Studio, and now I'm using Emacs. So store A ship fuel. That's pretty boring, but we need to draw fuel indication. I keep trying to resist putting just plain nouns in. Testing 1 2. Can you can probably hear me again? Yeah. Hello, testing. I think I've got. I don't know what happened there. The battery went. Oh dear. Sorry about that. Boom. All right. So hopefully you can hear me again. So I was saying I'm trying to draw this this fuel bar, and this address 8,000 plus 32 times 6 lines down from the top up here. And what it's going to do is draw a number of bytes. With this fuel is going to be from 0 to 63. So when it's a full bar, that's 8 bytes. But I'm only going to draw 7 bytes that are full because I draw the 7, and then the last byte is 1 to 8 pixels. So I'm start off by drawing the first part of that. And I said store A, and that's totally wrong. What I need to do is load video from video memory. Yeah, in fact, I need to do that. Then I need to do exclusive OR with -1, and then I do a store A back into that. Then I need to decrement X, and then I do branch if plus back to, I don't know, draw D fuel DFI1. DFI is make a loop, which would be here, DFI1. So this should draw the fuel indication, and I'll just JSR draw fuel indication as well, and then we need to draw in the setup before the loop, JSR reset fuel indicator, and then we hit. Let's try, see this. What do we get? Well, we get a bit of a failure really. It has drawn the fuel thing, but it's much bigger. It is much bigger than it should have been, so let's go debug that. 63, oh yes, of course, because it's done 63 bytes. That's not exactly right. What I need to do is take the ship fuel, divide it by 8. So to do that, I need to do a logical shift right. Shift all the bits right 3 times, because there ain't no thing as a division. You can divide by 2s. So if I do logical shift right 3 times, LSR, LSR, we should shift that. And now that is my fuel bar that you can see there. Now I've got other things I need to put up here, like, you know, the scores. So I think it also being right next to the edge of the screen, I'm not a fan of that. So let's go +1 on here. And in fact, let's just do fuel indication address. And because I've got an expression here that I'm going to end up repeating over and over again, this should +1 should make it a bit away from the edge of the screen, and then I'm also going to put it a bit higher. Let's do it halfway up, which would be 4. And we're going to, I now need to take that fuel indication address and put it instead of these here. So now what do we have? That's much better. That line is going to get shorter and shorter over time. But I need to do the end bit right in the last byte, which isn't being drawn yet, which shrinks according to the number of pixels, yeah, per pixel. So 2 ways of doing this. I could do lots of rotations, but in this case it's better to do a table. So I'll just set up a table for this. It's going to be the ship fuel. I'm starting to use more verbose labels now because there was indication. All right, indicator. Ship fuel indicator bits. I'm not entirely convinced by that name, but it will do. And I need to put 8 bytes in here, and these bytes start off with $FF, which is all the bits set. Then I want to start by clearing the least significant bit, which is going to be the bit on the right of the screen, and that is going to be FE. I take my word for it, and then as I'm counting, I'm shifting these. So FE, then there's FC, and then there's F8, $F8, and then there's $F0, and then there's $E0, then $C0, and then $80, and then $00. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it's a lot easier than messing around with code. I mean, it's only 8 bytes. So why do that when I'll use more bytes than that with an algorithm. If we find where I need a way of jumping to, I don't know if I can do that with Emacs. If I could just make it jump to a point, I should look for that at some point, or even better, just start splitting it up into different files. But anyway, let's search for fuel. I'll find it again. There, reset fuel indication. So after I have drawn all of those bits, I will be at a particular point, which will be X. I mean, X is X is decrementing because I drew it the other way. Okay, so then I need to know where I need to be. Then I need to calculate it again. And that's a bit awkward. So I think in this case, it might be better to start with 0. But then I need to store, no. I'm going to use X and Y then. We'll do that pattern. So what I'm going to do is load the Y register with 0, and so now that's going to count upwards as I count downwards. No, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to transfer, well, think about it. I want those, okay, no, I'm going to do something else. So I keep working on this. I'm optimizing the code as I go. Optimizing assembler up here. Right. What I'm going to do is load the value that goes from 0 to 63, and it's now into the accumulator. And what I need to do is remember the bottom 3 bits. Well, I need the bottom 3 bits. I'm going to just AND with immediate 7, so now I have the bottom 3 bits, and then I'm going to transfer A to Y so that I'm storing the bottom 3 bits in the Y register. Then, unfortunately, I just have to load the fuel again. And this time I do 3 logical shift rights, which give me the number of bytes. So in a sense, this is a divide by 8 with a remainder. And then I subtract 1 from that amount because I don't want to draw a full bar for the last byte. And then that's all good, but will I need to calculate it again? Right, no, okay, undo that. The point is I didn't want to have to recalculate the address again. We'll come back to that. So start again. I load the number, which could be, say, 63 or whatever it is, into ship fuel. From ship fuel into the accumulator. I do 3 logical shift rights to divide it by 8. I subtract 1, so it's divided by 8. subtract 1, I transfer it to X, but before I subtract the 1, I transfer it to Y as well, because then I can use that Y in a minute. I subtract 1 from it, transfer it into X, and then I'm just thinking, branch if plus. If I want it to do 1 less, I don't need to even do that. I can get rid of that instruction and that instruction. I can just transfer it to Y because I need it again, transfer it to X, and to ensure that it only draws 1 less than the total, I do branch if equal. This will stop when X reaches 0 rather than when X goes negative. So in fact, that should do the trick. And then when I'm here, I still have the address in the Y register, which means that that will actually be where I put the masked version of things. Now I need to load the ship fuel back in to the accumulator, and this time do an AND immediate 7, so I have a number from 0 to 7, which I can read from the table that I forgot what I called it, the ship fuel indicator bits. So I load the ship fuel indicator bits indexed with X, but I haven't transferred it from A to X yet, so I've got it now in there. So you transfer it into X, so this gets me the actual bits that I need, which I then store. No, not store. I load the fuel indication address, comma Y. I do an exclusive OR of, no, that's wrong too. If I do that, then I've lost the, So if I do that, then I've lost the bits that I just calculated. So what I actually should do is, I don't think this instruction exists though. I don't think I can do EOR with an index on Y. We'll see. And then store it back. So I suspect this won't assemble, but if it did, that would be it. Oh, it does assemble. Okay, then it's some of the more obscure ones that there are some that you don't get with Y. That's wrong though. Weird. It's yeah, that didn't quite work as expected. So we're going to simplify. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. We have the loop. No, found it. It's branch if not equal. It needs to be not branch if equal. So we do branch if not equal back to DFI1. Let's try again. We should have a bar. We have a bar. All of that just to draw that bar. But if I reduce the fuel, it should be able to shrink, for which I probably want to have a function which is reduce fuel. I'll just call it that. And what reduce fuel will do is reduce 1 pixel. And I'm going to do it the slow way, because there's a faster way, which is just to literally peck off 1 pixel at a time. That's going to take up even less CPU, but this is to test the draw fuel indication. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I clear the current fuel indication, then I do a decrement on the ship fuel. I decrement the ship fuel, and then I draw it again. So the first draw actually clears because it's an exclusive OR. I reduce the fuel by 1, and then I draw the fuel. If I call that every frame, so where's my loop gone? Here's the loop. Jump, reduce fuel. It should shrink. Hey Refly, am I energetic? No, I got annoyed at work. I had you don't always have perfect time at work, so I cheered myself up with a couple of episodes of Kojak and and some ice cream, and I had a double coffee today. And I don't know, I just want to be go for it. So yes, it's a conscious choice today to just go for it. Why not? So, I forgot, that isn't all I had. I also had a Guinness. So there we are. We've got full explanation of everything. So will this work? What should happen is it's going to reduce in size pretty quick if it works. What do we think? We take the bets? We think it's going to work? No, it's not going to work. In fact, it's gone back to basic. Because why, everybody? Because, do you see it? Because I said jump to fuel. I need to do JSR to fuel, so it was jumping to reduce fuel. Then the RTS in reduce fuel was returning back to the operating system or whatever. Right. Then you can see how eventually it gets very long. And when it gets very long, weird things happen, and now it's coming back. But as you can see, it's not worked, alas. It's reducing by bytes instead of pixels. So we'll have to look at that now. When I say reduce fuel, draw fuel indication, what did I do wrong? Load A with the ship fuel. Shift right 3 times, so that's divide by 8. Transfer it to Y, where I can use it again. And I also transfer it to X, where I'm going to use it now. In a loop where it is going to, let's try the number 63. If I have 63 and I shift it 3 bits to the right, it's actually going to end up with the number 7. Isn't it? And so then it's going to draw 6. That might be wrong actually, but anyway, what it's going to do is going to draw 6 bytes, which are totally filled in. And oh, well, that's a problem. I'm probably not doing. I'm not doing it in the right. Oh no! That. Ah. Oh no! It looks fine. It actually looks fine. So let me run through it again. So you divide by 8, so it'd end up with 7. I load 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because it's counting down. So in fact, I don't think it's the cause of this problem, but this really does need to be branch if plus, because I don't want it to plot on the end one. That's going to be plotted here. So branch if plus, and I do need to then clear carry, no, set carry, and then subtract with carry immediate 1. I don't think that's going to fix it, but I think that was wrong. So what I'm going to do to just make things a bit clearer here is comment out the plot of the full bytes. And you can see nothing, which means this bit here isn't working. The ship fuel indicator bits. Well, if I clear, I could just do load X immediate 0 just to force it to the first element of the table, which means that isn't the issue. So the issue is fuel indication address comma Y, where Y the address divided by 8. Yeah, that should be right. So why is that not working? Well, obvious. Look where I'm writing it. Instead of writing it back to the screen, I've written it back to the indicator bits, which is really stupid. So what we actually need is that. I think that's the problem. So now just to put that back, and we'll see if we get it this time. No, it's still not working. Okay, that's the second time I did spot a problem. I fixed it, didn't fix it. We're heading towards a groundhog bug. Groundhog bug alert. Oh, that's interesting. Now that I have removed the fill bytes, this is what we see of the byte down here. It's because it's still hardwired to X. That was a diagnostic I had done. So yes, we're in with the chance for it to work now. Let's see it. Will it work? Almost. If you're astute there, you'll notice that it is actually working, but it's the wrong way round. That's my table was the wrong way round. This one here. Because the bits are counterintuitively the other way round, so I need to flip this basically. I think this still needs to be FF. No, it just needs to be rotated. No, that's wrong. Seven. Oh, it's both. So I need to reconstruct this. This would be this starts off with 0, 0, 0, and then it's start the bits from the left to right, so it becomes 80, then $, C0, then $, E0, then $, F0, then $, F8, and then $, FC, and then $FE, and then $FF. So that was, my mind was actually completely wandering while I was doing all of those things. So I suppose in the end they just 0, 8 is 1 bit, then 2 bits, then 3 bits, then 4 bits, then 5 bits, 6, 7, and then all 8 bits set. Let's try that. I'm getting annoyed. Sorry, it's these double negatives, they always get you. I just needed to reverse these. 0, 0. 8. In the end, I will have tried all the different combinations until the one that works, right? Yeah. 8, C0, E0, F0, F. E0, C0, 8, 0. This is nonsense. Right. Yeah, that was fine up to there. F8, FC. I don't know what I was thinking there. FE. And then finally FF. And let's see. Maybe this time. Very annoying. There's something else is going on there. I can't count this as a groundhog bug because it's different every time. Groundhog bugs have the no change at all. Fuel indicator. Oh. Yeah, I don't need those. But anyway, ship, that wouldn't have changed anything. Ship indicator bits. Let's try turning off all the other filled in bits, so we've just got the one. Well, it's interesting because the end of that is actually correct. I think let's slow this down. Yeah, that is correct. It just needs to be filling in the rest. So I have a bug with the filling in the rest bit. I'm on camera. It wasn't pointing that way though. Right. Yeah, that's wrong. Oh no! I know what it is. It's exclusive OR plotting. And so that it's yeah, I know why. It's what's actually happening is it draws it's drawing all the bits together. Keep it real. It's like it's what it's doing is it's reversed all the bits because that bit with the solid bytes has drawn one too many, which is interesting. It's like it drew one too many because I already did look at that. It's because I did subtract one, but I did it after I transferred it to the X register. Ha! That's nice. That's now a nice smooth fuel indicator, which gets overloaded when it sort of clocks, but that's fine. So we reduce fuel until the fuel reaches 0. So you do branch if equal out of fuel, and then here I can do out of fuel, and if you're out of fuel then we blow up. So I should be able to do that now. Is that letter death explode ship? Well, this is the graphics for explode ship, I think. Right. Kill ship. So the kill ship routine is going to be just this lot. That is exploding the ship effect. We load the ship status and all the bits on ship status to say the ship is now dead, and then we clear sprite 10, and then we also disable the sprite as well as the update of the ship. So all of this together kills the ship. So on letter death, we do JSR kill ship. And so now the fuel should run down. Oh, it didn't work. Why? Reduce fuel. Didn't work. Why not? Branch if equal out of fuel. Because I did not put the call in. Yeah. Kill ship. There we are. Running out of fuel, and so that's what happens when you run out of fuel. Now that's going a little bit fast from a game design point of view. It probably needs to be a little bit slower on the fuel consumption, for which I need a fuel consumption rate. Ship fuel consumption rate. The ship fuel consumption rate, I will need to, I don't know why it does that. I will need to put in at the start. Oh, yeah, I was suddenly using Visual Studio again. In my mind, load a immediate. Now this is going to be how frequently we actually, you know what I'm going to do? I thought I was going to do a count and everything, and I was saying, okay, you count down to 0, whatever. But actually, what I could do is make it so that you add to the value that is 0, and when it clocks, that's when it will reduce the fuel. So if I do that, I can say load a ship fuel clear carry, add with carry ship fuel consumption rate, and if the carry flag is clear, it hasn't gone over 255. So what I'll do is say branch if carry clear, ship fuel 1. That's just a branch over this. So if the fuel consumption rate thing added on to ship fuel, no, that's wrong. Let me check. I have ship fuel consumption rate. I need another variable. Ship fuel consumption it's not a count. Cycle. I don't want to call it that. So ship fuel consumption rate. It's actually ship fuel consumption. This is ship fuel consumption rate. Add it to the cycle. Store it back into the cycle. And the point here being is that if the carry flag is clear, then it didn't clock that. It didn't go over 255. But if it did go over 255, then we need to reduce JSR reduce fuel. So now I can control the rate pretty precisely, hopefully. I need to remove that reduce fuel. And where did I put? Yeah, it's a question of where I put it. This is at the start. That's no good. This needs to be executed every frame. But I need to set the initial consumption rate. So the initial consumption rate, let's try, it'll go down. We have 64. If I do, I'm going to do, let's try 16. Low day 16, store a ship fuel consumption rate, and then this bit belongs in the main loop. I will move it into a function later, I'm sure. Fuel management, right, and I can get rid of that halt there. Let's go. Right, let's see what we got. That works. Ooh, I didn't pick that so well. There's one every 16 frames. That's still pretty well, it'd be rapid if you had to do all of the letters, but it's probably about right. If when I pick up a letter, the correct letter, it resets the fuel. So if we look at reduce fuel, we have some fuel, reset fuel indicator. So that's what I've got to just reset fuel. It's literally, it resets the fuel. I don't need to say indicator. So, and given all of that, I need to check when I collide with a letter. So we look for handle ship collisions. When I collide with the letter and successfully refuel, check if the right letter, compare with next letter. This disables the letter. So I just put here, we refueled, and clear the sprite, reduce the slicing cycle because I reduced increment the next letter, and here we do JSR reset fuel. Label name not in 683. That's fine. 683. Where are you? 683. JST. Yeah, that's okay. Typo. So now I should have time in this game. The fuel is going down, and and it just everything went wrong. all manner of going wrong. Right, so what I'm going to do to avoid, because I think I've got a collision of different things happening at the same time. So what I need to do is simplify to understand, because as I keep saying, I don't have a debugger and I can't even print statements. So it's like to debug this, you have a thing like that, you simplify. I want to see if I can reset the fuel indication, but not destroy the ship and so on. So when we're out of fuel, I kill the ship, but I don't anymore. Oh, would that matter? No, that's nothing to do with... Well, actually, it killed the ship anyway. Oh. It is possible. But no. I don't understand why it killed the ship. There's no explanation for that. It makes perfect sense to go through and remove all instances of kill ship. What I'm seeking here is that the ship is not killed, because that's it. I'm going to worry about that part because I have more than one bug at the same time here. The bigger issue right now is that when I refuel, that fuel indicator doesn't work right. Come on, letter A. I'm waiting for the letter A to come out of hiding. Where are you, letter A? Ah, it took too long. Try again. Ooh. It's a bit difficult to get to the A. Here we go. Oh, that seemed to work. No, that did not. So we have a bunch of problems with that indicator when I refuel. So refuel. We refueled. I say reset fuel. Let's look at the reset fuel routine. Guess what? I'm going to use a trick here. First time. So this is a case of, you can't do this in higher level programming languages. This is a case of a function that has two entry points. So I can enter in at reset fuel if I want to reset fuel properly when there's already a fuel indication. But the first time that it doesn't exist yet, so there I just want to draw it without clearing it. So that should work. It just means I have to go to that first instruction that sets up the reset fuel here, this one. This needs to be reset fuel first time. Right, so I think that will fix that particular issue, hopefully. I need to try and refuel the letter A. Here it comes. That worked. And of course, you could say, oh, it's a bit tedious, isn't it, that you have to sort of keep testing the code like this. But that's how you also test the gameplay. Where's C? C! Ooh, I just got it in time. Or maybe I didn't, because I've turned off the ship destruction. And let's go to reduce fuel. And when it's out of fuel, we kill the ship. And let's see if that works now or not. So, oh. So I've got another problem, which is the ship doesn't get killed if it's the wrong letter. That's a bit... So... Oh, man. Collision is not a good word to... Here we are, handle ship collisions. So... The routine here, we refueled, next letter. I disabled the kill ship because if you remember before, for diagnostic purposes, I removed that. So now you will die if you hit the wrong letter. I need to refuel. Why are you heading to the letter D? Ah, right, that works. Because I'm testing. Oh, that was unintended, that one. So we go here, and that's very annoying. So now what I have is letter death, as in it's like I crashed into the wrong letter. Triggered by a reset fuel. It doesn't sound like that should be a good thing, but there it is, confirmation. If I turn on, let's just make doubly sure, if I turn on reset fuel, it has the side effect of confusing something, so it thinks it refueled on the wrong letter. Now what would cause that? Jump to HC, because this is in a loop, and what I've done is reset fuel has destroyed the X register. I really need to. Now this is a very low frequency instruction, so I'm going to see if I can push this one onto the stack. If I can, I can't remember if I can or not on the 6502. It's been so long. 6502 opcodes. So do I have a push? Pull A. Pull accumulator from stack. And then there's PHA, which is push accumulator to stack. So this can be useful if you start worrying about where I am storing all my temporary variables. I need to preserve X and anything else. What else do I need to preserve? Ah, it's enough. I preserve X. So what I do is transfer X to A, push A, then transfer, no, pull A, and then transfer A to X. So this preserves the X register. Now the question, I'm just curious on this, is how expensive are the push A and pull A instructions? Pull A and push A. They're not that bad. They're not that bad at all. It's 4 cycles. When you think about a NOP, or no operation, takes 2 cycles. So in total, it's 6 cycles with the transfer. So 12 cycles on the whole function. So sure, if you were executing this, 1,000 times a second or a frame or whatever, you'd be worried about this. But this is just for a moment is not measurable. So I might as well do this, and by doing that, it's more kind of robust. So let's try that and see what we get. Ooh. That's interesting. What did we get? We got a complete crash. This is the first totalitarian crash, if that's even grammatically allowed. It's the first complete crash that we've seen. This is an actual genuine crash. And I know immediately what it is, and it shows you the danger of having multiple entry points. You see, reset fuel and reset fuel first time. That's the problem. So it's time to do this properly. The green screen of death, exactly. No, what happened is that it was this, because I jump in the first time, it's pulling the thing off the stack, but I didn't push it on the stack. So now the stack is corrupted, basically. And then this ended up with it returning back to the operating system, reporting an error, and the error caused it to flip back into text mode. And so what you see on the screen there is Well, what do you see? This red bar, this red part here, that's actually the fuel bar probably. But anyway, what do I do? Well, these are such a small little tiny function. The reset fuel first time really does not need any kind of preserving of anything, because it's really done as an initialization. So that I'll do like that. I go back to a more normal thing, and so the other reset fuel does actually preserve the X register. And so here we go. There we are. Well, that's not bad. So far, only one actual complete crash. Maybe there's been two. Maybe that's the most spectacular one that we've seen. It doesn't happen very often, which is surprising. You'd think it would happen more. The other problem I've got, I just want to fix, is that when the fuel runs out, it continues trying to take fuel, which causes the fuel gauge to sort of flip over to a long line. That's really annoying. So what I'm going to do is search for reduce fuel. There we are. When the fuel, reduce fuel, decrement ship fuel, we do load A, ship fuel, and branch if equal reduce fuel end. So it won't try to reduce the fuel anymore if the fuel is empty. Don't magically somehow pull more fuel out of a tank that has no fuel. I'll check that to see if that works. I need to do the sound effect for that. That'll be fun. At a certain point, it go tick, duck, 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 and then meh, 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 and then that didn't work. That's weird. Draw fuel into... yes, I know why that is. Is because I need to put that test at the start. Let's try that again. Right. Oh, there's another thing. The fuel keeps going down after the ship is destroyed. Oh, yes. Yes, the JSR followed by an RTS to jump. I totally agree. Very good. Let's do that. Just because you suggested it, we've done it. I mean, technically, I could do it on this one too. How much do you want to bet? I'll pay for that later. So what I want to do is not have fuel getting reduced if the ship is dead. So we'll go to kill ship routine, where I can see that the ship status bit 1 is that, are you laughing at? Yes. Oh, look, I could do that here as well. Jump. I mean, you know, people are afraid of don't be afraid of programming. I'm not doing, nobody's paying me to do this. Reduce fuel. I've kind of stalled now. What was I doing? I can't remember. Oh yeah, that don't reduce fuel consumption once you have blown up your ship is a bit unfair. You know, it's like taxing you after you're dead. Premature micro-optimization is the root of many a groundhog bug. What are we going to do? Sorry, I got stuck again. Right, reduce fuel. We do not reduce fuel if the ship status is the ship has been destroyed. Let's check that. Okay, that works. Now, of course, you could say, well, surely when the ship is destroyed, you don't have a fuel indicator anymore. But it's nice to be able, for the player to be able to look at that after they die. This is really important. You've got the also really important is the fact that fuel consumption isn't happening at all anymore. So obviously I've introduced a bug, but the point is that when you are you know, when you're playing the game, one of the things that you keep looking at is you keep checking the amount of fuel that you have, which is very critical. When you die, it's good to be able to just see how much fuel you had left, because you may have been putting yourself under pressure for no reason. Now, if you design the game in such a way that that fuel indicator disappears when you die, you have removed from the player the opportunity to see what happened. So these are useful tips for making great games. The player needs to understand what happened. This, you see this in first-person shooters, and was done brilliantly in Doom. I think it was done in Doom, and if it wasn't in Doom, it would be in some other game shortly thereafter. But I think it was in Doom. So when you die, and it was certainly done in Magic Carpet, when you die, you go into a kind of ghost mode. So what you don't do when you die is just have a blank screen. That's just so terrible, because then you just completely don't understand what happened. So like in Magic Carpet, the color of the screen would go black and white, but you would be fixed in the same position, and the camera would be following whoever killed you. It's a wonderful design idea, very old design idea by this stage, but it's wonderful, and it fits the bill of that point of that you need to allow the player the opportunity to understand what just happened. Same thing goes with in a football game when you score a goal. I've seen football games, sports games, the moment the ball crosses the line, he scores a goal, and the camera immediately zooms right back into the centre. And it's like, gosh, the player won't even understand. There was no follow through. You won't even be able to. You may have seen it, but you won't be able to remember it. It's like that. You can't do that. No, let the play continue a bit so that you can see the thing in the goal mouth, right? So the player has an idea of what happened. Anyway. I need to fix the fact that now it never fuels at all, or reduces fuel at all. So this is annoying. Let me confirm that it's this. I don't understand why it's doing that. It's very weird. Oh. I do understand why. I did a copy paste for when it sets the bit. Look what I'm doing. I'm loading the ship status. Who cares what it is? Because I OR it with 1. And then I say, is it not equal 0? And it's always not equal 0. I just ORed it with 1. What we were supposed to be was and with 1, so that I'm checking only 1 bit. Okay, so now the fuel is the fueling is happening. And when I refuel, I get the fuel back. And now I just need to clear up all the letters before I die. I nearly did there. I'm going to just play with the fuel consumption and get it to a point where it's exciting. So I can't remember which letter. Did I pick up? Because there's a kind of an area at the bottom of the screen where they can hide. You have to remember where you're at. So I'm at F now. The G, H, I, and now I've got to get J. J, where are you, J? This one gets tense. Okay, so I did that one. And that was with, wasn't too hard. That was with a refueling thing. Where is it now again? It's down here. Fuel consumption. I can't find it. Consumption. There. That's with a fuel consumption rate of 16. I'm going to double it and see if I can. 753. I think I was too fast, and the injection of keys into the emulator then ended up going into my source code. Annoying when that happens. Right, so let's try again. 32. And now I need to be a lot quicker with my refueling. Oh man, where's that B? Where are you? Where's the B? Where the gap that I have is a bit wide. It's definitely a bit wide. Should I deal with that? Yeah, I can deal with that. I need to deal with that. Otherwise, the tuning that I'm doing is just totally irrelevant. So what the issue is there, that the vertical is 256 pixels, but only 192 are shown because of the screen dimensions. So I'm going to have to put that into the update of the sprites. So I can put it in here and integrate X, integrate Y, handle the slicing, count. Right, this here. After I integrate the X position and the Y position, I add velocity to position. I need to check if I am out of bounds in the Y. So what I do is I say if load A sprites Y, or it's actually literally there. It's actually right here. I can just put it in here. The accumulator at this point will have the Y coordinate of the sprite. I can do a compare. If I compare this with 192, but there's an 8 for the wraparound thing, so the sprite can go off the screen a bit. If I have 192 plus 8 is 200. I could go 208, 206, 224 feels about right. So let's compare it with 224. And if it is greater than 224, then when I subtract 224, it won't borrow, which means the carry flag will be set. So we do branch if carry set, not no wrap. So it means it's not going to wrap around. I can just do in here no wrap, or bow wrap. That's that. On my keyboard, it's annoying. I've been typing on keyboards for like 40 years. There have been always different keyboards. I've never really learned to touch type, although I do not look at the keyboard necessarily all that often, but sometimes I do. But the problem is that I've got now 5 keys. Actually, if I look at this, it's 5, 6, 7 keys that have virtually got the text on them completely wiped. And it's all the ones that the B, the N and the M. So if I look at the keyboard there, I don't know which is which anymore. It's like B. Maybe I should just get a keyboard, just remove all of the letters off my keyboard. Maybe that. I never got to touch type. Probably a good thing, because if I had been putting my hands like that for 30 years, 40 years like this, I probably wouldn't be able to play a musical instrument anymore. Anyway, I digress. If it's more than 224, then I got it the wrong way around. If it's more than 224, then the carry flag will be set. If it's less than 224, the carry flag is clear. So if we get to this, I need to subtract, because I need it to sort of flip around. So I'll need to subtract a certain amount. I need to figure out the amount. I could subtract 224 minus 8 plus 8. So I'm going to do set the carry flag, which is already set, but I'm not going to try to be clever there. SBC, subtract with carry, 224 plus 8, the 8 being the pixels at the top of the screen. That should wrap it. Now, this is only the wrap if we go off the bottom of the screen. So this is no wrap bottom. I need to do the no wrap top now as well. So for the top check, I need to compare it with a negative. Oh, this gets annoying. All right. I'm going to just do, call this no wrap top. And then when I do the add with carry, if it's plus, which means that it isn't negative off the screen. Oh. If we get this, we've got to get this right. We're talking about, you know, doing negative numbers, and it's like different between a uint and an int, unsigned int and an int, and you're on your own in handling this here. I think actually what might make sense is before I do anything with this, having done. Oh, wait a minute, but I will be negative because of what I do. If I'm not careful, it'll... Right. I'm going to call it end wrap. Which is probably less confusing. Oh, no. Rejig this code. We'll keep that the same. If I have done the wrap at the bottom, I need to jump to end wrap. Basically, otherwise I'm going to try and do both. Like you do one or the other. You wrap bottom, you wrap top. You don't try to wrap both. Okay. So we do compare with 224 branch of carry clear, which happens if it is less than 224. If otherwise, it's going to subtract an amount which pops it back up to the top, which is fine. And now we're here, I need to do a compare of, it's not off the end. Well, first of all, if it's plus, then there's no wrap at the bottom, meaning if the top, is that right? No, I'm overcomplicating it. Compare it with -8. Now, what that will actually do is convert the minus, well, it doesn't convert the -8. The bit pattern for -8 is going to be the same as 248 or something like that. And if it is less than that, then I need to add, and it will be less than that. Even though it says -8, this is going to be done as if it is an unsigned. I've just written it as -8, but in fact it'll convert to effectively an unsigned. So the carry flag will work as if the thing was unsigned. So I have a number, about 248. If it is less than that, I can't stand that anymore. I need to write it like this, otherwise I'm not going to understand. It's the same. So if it's less than that number, it means I need to do it. If it's greater than that number, it's always going to be less than that number. And this is hard thinking going on here. It's always going to be less than that number. So what I might do, I need to do it in 2 stages, maybe. Okay. For the wrap in the bottom, I will check to see if, I will compare it with 192. So that's the bottom of the screen. If subtract 192 and the number was less than that, then it will mean that it will borrow. If it borrows, the carry flag will be clear. So if the carry flag, no wrap. So now it will not attempt to push the thing up to the top of the screen if it is not off the bottom. It can only be off the top. And then I do a second check, which is compare it with minus, well, I'm 256 minus however far back I want to go. Now I've got, it's 8 is fine because I put the extra space at the bottom. I put the space at the bottom, right? So I'm going to compare it with that. It means that if it's off the screen, which it will be at -8 vertically, it'll be completely off the screen. At that point, I need to pop it back down, and I need to do that by adding the same amount. So I do that I had with the other one. So clear carry, add with carry, 224 plus 8. No wrap top. Oh dear me, this is one of my least favourite kind of thing. But I'm going to run through this again. You see, the thing is that when you're doing assembly programming, you really have to review your code carefully, and it looks like I should put that same discipline into my non-assembly programming, frankly, because I don't know if it's true with other people, but it's something I'm thinking about. I might be able to optimize my programming on C++ from what I'm learning here. But anyway, I need to run through this again. So I have a value for my y, which this is the result of adding the velocity here. And if it's less than 220, right, I subtract 224. And if it was less than that, the carry flag will be clear. And so it won't do a wrap due to the bottom. Otherwise, it's going to subtract 224 plus 8, thus popping it back up to the top, and an end wrap. Otherwise, it's going to check to see if it's on screen, or rather not off the bottom. And so it subtracts 192, and if the carry flag is clear at this point, then it will be does that have to be 191? If it is exactly 192, fortunately it doesn't matter in this case, so I'm just going to leave it. So we do branch if carry clear, no wrap. Otherwise I compare it to 256 minus 8, and if the carry flag is clear, it means it's less than that. But because I know that it is off the screen, it means it's actually gone too far this way, too far up, and then I add 250. I'm not entirely convinced. We'll try. We'll see. Well, the test is the ship. No, I knew it. I knew it wouldn't work first time. So what happened there is it goes up, and it's like, first of all, it's popping it back down before it goes off the screen. So I tell you what, instead of trying to do both of these together, and because the ship is going up the screen, I'm going to comment this out and start again. But I'm only going to do the pop it downwards one first. So I compare. I check to see if it's, yeah, I should really check to see if it's negative or positive, actually. Why not? I can say branch if plus. Let me just call it wrap 1. I can't. This means that the top bit is set. So if the top bit is set, that can be because it is in the lower part of this screen. It could be in the lower part of this screen, or it could be in off the top, because the thing was minus. So I need to know which it is. If it's plus, there's no, actually if it's plus there's nothing to do, because if it's plus it's somewhere between 0 and about here on the screen. Let me try that first. I'm going to test that first of all. So if I branch wrap 1, let's do this a step at a time, and then here I'm going to do jump halt. So what's going to happen is the ship will go up to the top. Or what's going to happen is it's going to halt immediately. Because it could be any of the sprites, not just the ship. There's another sprite involved. So what I'm going to do, because I've got no debugger, but what I could do is cheekily... No, I can't do that. I was going to try and do an equivalent of a conditional breakpoint. Oh, I could if I push A. I could push A, transfer X to A, compare with 10, branch if not equal, wrap 1, pull A. Nasty, but this should just... because the flag is lost here, you see. Because I needed to pull A back again. All right, hang on. Push A onto the stack, transfer X to A, which is really a copy, compare it with 10, branch if not equal, wrap 1. Pull A. This is a terrible idea. It's too much work. If I do would be effectively a conditional breakpoint. Okay, I'm going to zap that. We need to do something else here. I'm going to try... Oh, I know exactly... I know a way to prevent the letters from doing that. I could just set their velocities all to 0. Okay, so when I set up the velocities of the letters at the start, that's the initial velocities. Yep. Load A immediate 0. So we're going to load A immediate 0 in here, and then just store it into all of the letters. I think this should... I want the letters not to move. Thank you. Then the first thing that is going to... Here we go. Let's see if I can bring this back a bit at a time, or just start with what I did before. So if we do branch if plus, it means there cannot possibly be any collision. Get there, right. If it's branch BPL, branch if plus, no collision, otherwise jump halt. So what I'm hoping will happen is that it will go to the top of... That's annoying. Branch if plus. Add with carry. Load A, the Y high byte of the sprite. Add the velocity. And then after you've added the velocity, you check if the result was positive. Which it must be. And if it is, you jump around the halt. Oh, it's because some of these letters are negative because they're down here. Flipping heck. So the other thing I would need to do... right. The other thing I need to do is to also put all of the letters in the top half of the screen. So where was the initial letter position? That happens here, sprite, right. So load A, immediate, I don't know, 100 is fine. That'll be the top half of the screen. So we'll do that and go. And that's better. Because all of the letters are now in the great at less than 128 pixels, which means that they're positive. And so now the only thing that I'm seeing the collision of is the ship, and did it exactly at the right moment. So now I'm back to things making sense, and I can build on that. Oh. Update sprite. So we'll update the sprites, and we're going to do that here. So if it's negative, then it means that we might need to do something. We never need to wrap when it's in between 0 and 100, whatever. Now I need to decide whether or not it's a case of it was at the top of the screen and needs to be wrapped to the bottom, or it's the bottom of the screen they need to wrap up. And the way to tell the difference is to look at, I need to compare the y value with some point that I can use to differentiate between the two. So the wrap point I want is 224, but the total space is 256. If I do 256 minus 224, if I average the two, then I've got a point in between the two that I can use to decide which case it is. So that's something worth thinking about. Yeah, if I am between 200, right. I need to first check to see if I'm between 0 and 224. If I am, I don't need to do anything as well. So I should put that check in next. So this is compare the value that I have for this sprite to 224. Now, if the carry flag, here we go again, if it is less than 220 or equal to 224, let's bear in mind also the equals. Maybe it needs to be 223 if I'm being strict. If it is 223 or less, there is no borrow, therefore the carry flag is set. So I can do branch if carry set as like no wrap. Otherwise, halt. Oh, type Dino. No wrap one. So I'm going to just try this and see. So if I... That was a bit annoying. I think there was a letter... There we go. It was a letter appeared on the starting point and the other shenanigans there. So I should be able to go a bit off. What did you... Oh, no, it was fuel. I took too long. It was fuel. That's why I died. I didn't hit anything. I should be able to just go off the screen and come back. I did. But if I try to go down, it actually stopped right there. And that's in the wrong place. So that's not quite working yet. It looks like it stopped the moment that it went negative or gone over 128 in the vertical coordinate of the thing. But if it was like 128 and I compare it with 223, I do 128 minus 223. I got this the wrong way in the end. It's branch if carry clear, because if it's less than 223, it will borrow, and if it borrows, the carry flag is clear, not set, as you might think. Correct. Right, whatever. Gosh. I know it saved a little bit of silicon way back in the 70s, but wasn't without its cost. So I could come down here, and it did eventually stop. Now, where am I able to just sort of duck a little bit under the screen and come back? I should be able to. I'm going to try. So it's going around and just duck under the screen and come back. So I think that's a little bit further. Oh, ran out of fuel. That's looking promising. So at this point, I know that I need to do a wrap because it's outside of the legal area. And now I need to know which side. Is it off the top or off the bottom? And that's when I can compare it with the average of the limit, absolute limit, which is 256, and where I'm actually putting my limit, because I'm trying to shrink the screen space vertically for the gameplay. So I need to compare it now, immediate with this expression. It's good that you can just put that expression in, right? So it's clear what is the average of 256 and 224, thus being the midpoint between the two. So if I just, careful, yes, if I am outside of the range, but one side or other of that, then that tells me which way I need to go. If I get it right, which, let's do it again. This amount that I have, right, it's going to be subtracted away from what the y coordinate is. If the carry flag is clear, it means it's less than that. Well, if it's less than this imaginary line, it actually means it's on the bottom of the screen. So it's a wrap up, not a warp up, it's a wrap up. Otherwise, we're doing the wrap down. So if I do the wrap down, I need to clear the carry flag because I only have an added carry, and then I need to do ACORN carry immediate with what, 224, and then jump the no wrap one. I mean, it's no longer no wrap, but it's the end of the wrap code that I'm doing here. Otherwise, I need to wrap up. And in order to wrap up, I need to subtract 224, for which I need to set the carry flag to SBC, subtract with carry, immediate 224. Let's try again, shall we? Thank you, letter C. All right, so I'm going to go up the screen and hopefully it'll appear at the bottom. Oh, no, it ran out of fuel because I just too much talking. That's looking promising. Still not quite right. It's very close. There's just one thing, it just disappears. It sort of blinks off as it reaches the top. Will you stop hitting letters, please? It just blinks off. Blink. So I need to fix that. Now, we can also check going down. But frankly, that's good if that works other than that. Let's see. It halted. Because I have a halt instruction on the wrap up. Still in there. Let's try that again. Come around. There we go. Yes. And we go down. Okay, this is beginning to look good now. It's just that little thing of the top bit. Now, if you remember, I did this thing of wrap. If it's plus, do not wrap. I need to do if it's plus or greater than -8, then don't wrap. So I can actually just do, there may be a way to optimize this later, but I mean, you know, it's such a brain thing anyway. If I compare this with -8, which would be the same as comparing it with 256 -8, because I only have 8 bits. So if it is greater than that, then I'm just not going to bother to wrap. If it's greater than that. So if it's greater than that, it's going to not borrow, and therefore the carry flag will be set. So I do branch if carry set, no wrap. So my little bit of code of doing a wrap is just, that's a mess, isn't it? But, you know, what you do? It's like, okay, let's see. Oh, come on. You say that it's because I'm forcing the letters all to be, you know what, I should, look, it's working. I was going to make sure the letters didn't appear on that row. If I did that, then I wouldn't have this problem. But that's beautiful. Ran out of fuel while I was off screen. I think I got it. So this is the magical incantation that we have. Branch if plus wrap 1. What's wrap 1? Hang on. Oh, it's the same as no wrap. Let's just tidy up. I don't need that anymore. And this was my first attempt, which was a failure. And then, all right, then eventually store it back in. So this thing, I've just put a comment on here. This is wrap vertically. With 224 pixels. So I've actually shortened that space, but it's still leaving some space there because that turned into part of the gameplay. And so first of all, check to see if it's plus. If it is plus, then it means we probably don't need to wrap, but just check because we allow 8 pixels negative and then don't wrap. Okay, well, if that's the case, then we check for the bottom of the screen. And if it's within the screen, the valid area bounds, we don't wrap. Otherwise, we compare with the midpoint between, you know, the wraparound of 224 and 256, that midpoint, and we see which side of it we are, and then we add 224 or we subtract 224. Okay, I think now that's pretty good. And I just need to now undo all the other changes that I did to sort of set up the thing of this, which, where the hell is that? Start here, there it is. Initial letter position, loop, it's where it was checking all of that, and then in the end, this low day immediate 0, I can take that off. Actually, this is the velocity, so, and then here I did something to change the position, but I can't see where it is now. Oh, there it is, low day 100, exactly. So, and now, oh, letter A. Quick, quick. Oh, that was so close. I was literally a pixel away and I ran out of juice. Let's try that again. Right, so can I do this? Because the whole point was that I was trying to do this with a fairly tight schedule. Where's C? C, there we go. C. Uh-oh. D. Oh no. E, got it. F. Oh, I keep missing. And there was that J was getting in the way. Unsure what happened there. But the bar at the top should be a safe zone, because the problem is that it starts getting confusing. So what I did was, and it's sort of difficult for the collision detection, so what I did was, where the score is, that would be a safe zone, and you could use that as a safe zone. You can hide in there, but you couldn't refuel in there. But I'm going to ignore that because I was partly off the screen, and the collision detection hasn't been sorted out for that. I haven't put that safe zone in yet. So let's try again. Oh, A, B. Oh dear, I have to wait for him to come back now. Come back. I need you. C, C. Okay, gotcha. C. Uh-oh, nearly hit the H. and where, yeah. Yep, it's a little bit harder at this amount of fuel. Let's try again. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's getting there. I'm not getting there. A. I got A, and then B, and then we got C, D. Uh-oh. I got the E. Come down for the F. Uh-oh, difficult. Yeah, I can't do it in that bar. Determined to do it. B. Oh, that was close. C. Where's D? It's coming out here. There we are. Gotcha. Oh. E. It doesn't help when I missed. Oh, missed it again. F. G. And they get faster. That makes it harder. Ah, success. So I've got a bit of a baseline idea of the difficulty level. I'm going to let. I noticed a glitch there appeared on the screen when the fuel ran out. Just keep an eye out for that again. There. That's a minor thing. I'll deal with that at a later time. So the next thing is the collision with the ship. Collision detection with the ship occurs currently even when you're off screen. I need to not have collision detection when you're off screen, and then extend that a little further to where the score is. Above this line, there's going to be the score later. So if I do handle ship collisions, handle ship collisions in here, we should not do the collisions with the ship where the ship is out of bounds. Check if ship in bounds for collisions. So we load the ship X, which is sprites HX plus 10, and that's not it. I want the Y. And it's actually YH plus 10. Okay, so that's the Y coordinate of the ship, and we want to make sure that it is in a range of between 192 and 8. Less than 8, you're overlapping on this bar. And then I'm going to turn the collisions off at that point. So we compare it, first of all, with 8, immediate 8. And, of course, if it is less than 8, it is going to be negative. It's going to borrow. If it borrows, the carry flag is clear. So we do branch if carry clear. No, I'm going to, otherwise I end up with a big long jump, and then I need to, the branch instruction will be too far, and then I have to put a jump statement in. So for this case, I might do, for these early outs, I might as well do branch of carry clear dot HC6. I think I haven't used that one here yet, and jump around on RTS. And I might as well then here put an HC7. We can also do that. So If the carry flag is clear, it means that there's a borrow occurred, which means that the value was less than 8, in which case we won't do any collisions. If we compare it with 192, what's in the accumulator, I loaded the accumulator here, then at that point, similar idea, except that if, let's compare with 191, because 192 is already out of bounds. So if the number is 191 or less, it's going to clear, it's going to borrow, and the carry flag will be clear. So its branch of carry set is what we want. Branch of carry set dot HC7, it branches back up here to that RTS. So that construct should do the trick. We'll see. So the test is failed. No, I ran out of fuel. All right, let's try again. Ooh, that hit that. Ah, yes. So there's a problem right there. It's didn't work. Why didn't it work? Let's check again. If we take the ship y coordinate and we compare it with 8, and if it's less than 8, it's going to borrow, which means it's the same as clearing. I had that the wrong way round. If it's clear, it borrowed. If it borrowed, it's less than 8. So then you return. And then this one is the other way round. Let's try that. Okay, so that I was colliding. Now, B is a good test case here. Can I refuel on this B? Doesn't look like it. I have to test it a little more. So I ran out of fuel. I'm going around in circles around the A. I couldn't get the A. A, B, where's C? C's off screen. Oh. You know, I need to relax a little bit here. I need to reduce the fuel consumption because it was like on hard mode. Let's make it half that, nice and relaxed. How's this? And then we can get A, and then B, and up, come up, see if I can do C up here. Oh, I just messed it up, but it didn't crash, did it? A, B, C, D, E. Don't have a test case there, but I messed that up. F, right, we'll try it with the G. Here we go, G. That looks good. It looks like it disabled the collisions while I was in that bar, or off in the nice. That's beginning to feel pretty good, I think. That's working pretty well. Now, of course, what will happen when you've collected all the letters, it starts the next round. I don't have that yet. Good. That's a good point, I think, to leave it for today. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again soon with the next stage of the recreation of Letteroids from 1980. Take care, everybody. See ya.